Persona 5 Royale. Trash. Whoa, did he say that? No, I'm not gonna start it off like this. Persona 5 sells you the fantasy of rebellion, but mechanically, it's one of the most controlled and obedient games ever made. Hi, Bad Gamer here, and I'm scared posting this because the fanbase will eat me alive, bro. If you clicked on this incredible thumbnail, then you either already have played Persona 5, or in the very least have heard of it, okay? Now, you might love it, okay? Now, you might hate it, or you're somewhere in denial in between the two. But know that this video will have spoilers for those who, want to go into blind. So if you haven't played the game, be aware of this. So before you rage click the dislike button, hear the claim I'm about to make. The claim. Persona 5 is usually talked about like a modern classic. It became the default stylish JRPG that everyone points to, right? I came to it super late, as a matter of fact, last year. I used to hate turn-based combat, then BG3 got me halfway there, Expedition 33 fully converted me, and I thought, okay, I get it now. Okay, I'm ready. So I looked up, what is the genre's S-tier game? And everyone said Persona 5. And now after 90 plus hours, the honeymoon wore off and I started noticing the same problems. So many things I didn't like. The tyranny of dialogue and pacing, bro. One of the biggest complaints I saw people keep bringing up on Reddit when I was reading about the game to see what the public really thinks about it, like a good YouTuber, right? Get opinions from the outside before making a video, basically. People kept bringing up how much Persona 5 just won't stop talking. It definitely is not my personal main complaint, since I love me a good story moment, right? But what I do want to mention is that the game explains everything. After it explains everything, it explains everything again. After the game explains everything, then the party texts you about it, right? Characters recap scenes that happened literally 5 minutes ago. I go to meet a friend, then they hit me up on my phone, like right before entering Leblanc, and Leblanc is kind of like the base, right? And they tell me how they feel. And basically what happened when we met, literally 2 minutes ago. And that repeats on every big story moment as well, right? Like every big story moment gets flattened because the game refuses to let you sit with them and experience them. For example, okay, the first palace confession scene. You beat Kamoshida, the guy breaks, he confesses publicly, okay? It's a huge moment. We're talking about abuse and power, consequences, all topics that are valid and actually very well talked about. So if you ask me, this should land hard. And for about a few seconds, it actually does, okay? Then Persona 5 absolutely panics, right? Instead of letting that moment sit, the game immediately has characters restate exactly what just happened. They fire off group texts explaining why this is important. The game repeats the moral of the arc pretty out loud, right? Has Morgana summarize it like a PowerPoint slide. You don't get silence. You don't get reflection. Instead of moving forward, the game keeps stopping to make sure you're still caught up. And I think this is how you ultimately end up with 100+ hours game, right? Where a huge chunk of that game isn't progress, actually. It's reminders. And not new ideas at all. The challenge. I truly believe that a Persona 5 is mechanically accessible, which helped it reach a wider audience. But accessibility often becomes over-guidance. Dungeons rarely demand creative problem solving. You literally just drive from A to B. Combat systems are introduced gradually, which is cool. Like they add new stuff all the time, but they rarely require mastery. The game constantly suggests the optimal actions and strategies you should take as a player. So RPG? Big question mark? How in the world can you call this an RPG and not an interactive graphic novel? Like, I would be totally cool with it if it would be an interactive graphic novel, and knowing that I will go into it and experience an interactive graphic novel. Instead, Persona 5 is constantly telling you what to do and when to do it and how to do it. The calendar that you're having, it looks like freedom, right? But it's really just a schedule. You get deadlines and forced events, and you should probably do this today. Moments, okay, that are quietly locking you into one correct path. Your dialogue choices, mostly flavor text. Your moral decisions, cosmetic. Your social links, pre-written. Like pre-written emotional arcs, so you're basically just checking boxes on. Even combat isn't asking you to experiment, right? The game straight up nudges you towards the optimal answer over and over until the creativity that you think you have becomes inefficient. So you're not really role-playing here at all. You're following a curated narrative path and you're pressing buttons that look like choices. Even Joker, the main character, he isn't yours. His personality is already written, right? You're not shaping who he is. You're just picking from a handful of approved tones that the game is comfortable with. Persona 5 doesn't ask, who do you want to be? It asks, are you ready to move to the next scene? Combat. Okay, let me go a little bit more into combat here. I think it's fair, right? I think combat has a main weakness, and that's the baton pass loop. Persona 5 teaches you early that hitting enemy weaknesses is the correct answer to everything. That's fine. JRPG 101, I guess. But then it keeps going. The game highlights enemy weaknesses once discovered, rewards you with one or more every single time, and it pushes you into the baton pass chains, right? At some point it buffs baton pass so hard that not using it is objectively worse. And by around mid-game, the combat stops being what should I do and becomes more like hit the glowing weakness until everything dies type thing. And the game knows this is the optimal solution because it actively reminds you. Your party members literally say things like, this is his weakness, we found his weakness, or pass me the baton, like you should baton pass now, or now is your chance, and stuff like that, right? So experimentation becomes inefficient. So you're not really discovering strategies, which for me means Persona 5 doesn't reward creativity at all. It rewards obedience. So calling Persona 5 an RPG is not wrong by marketing standards, but philosophically it is closer to a curated narrative system with light tactical gameplay, right? The role is predefined, the path is curated, and the player's agency is decorative. Now, if you're still watching at this point and haven't nuked my comments yet, thank you. Like I said at the beginning, I was genuinely scared to post this video because I know that the fan base is huge, and that, I don't know, probably what I'm saying applies to most JRPGs, but I don't want to say that because I haven't played many of them. Nonetheless, this is something I really wanted to talk about. And also, I have to say, Persona 5 is not a bad game. That's not what I'm saying. Let's get that out of the way, okay? It's polished and actually very stylish. Also, for someone living in Tokyo, it's incredible how they built the vibes of the city. Like, especially commuting with a train and when the music kicks in and everything. It's incredible. The game, from what I can see, had real cultural impact. And I get why people love it. But the problems for me aren't really nitpicks. They're baked into the design, and I felt the urge to share my opinion, to see if there's any other person out there that thinks the same thing, because it seems like people just love this game and don't see any flaws in it. But I truly think that this game cares more about how things look and feel than how much control you actually have. It chooses clarity over letting things be messy, and presentation over real interactivity. It looks rebellious, it sounds rebellious, but mechanically and narratively, it plays things incredibly safe, if you ask me. And yeah, calling Persona 5 an RPG, bro. I mean, it isn't wrong on the store page, right? But it really shows how watered down that label has become. When a game holds your hand the entire time and decides who you are and limits meaningful choice, right? Role-playing turns into an aesthetic and not a system. But yeah, that's it for me. If you watched so far, amazing. Come on, like, leave a like at least, leave a comment, right? If you're super funky, subscribe. We're climbing the ladder up to 250 subscribers. I'm here every week. I wasn't here last week because I got the worst flu in my entire life. But yeah, this is what we do. We rant about games, we play games, we go sometimes outside, we film outside. If you're down to be part of Bad Gamer Enterprise, hit that sub button. See you guys on the next one. Bad Gamer out.